the fact of the matter is we could have a great evening tonight with two musicians, because that's one, but what you don't know, this man is one as well. He travelled Harlem and all kind of exotic places like that. So I kind of feel out of place. So we could have done that, but we're not going to do that. I did ask him to sing, but he said, not tonight, here. Can I also say, just a closer walk with you today, we could manage that some Sunday morning last Carl. Try your best, lovely. Carl and Martin, they're not habits, but they live in Kilbarchan, and it's just great to have them, because I see them many Sundays in Lust, and Carl often takes the music there. So listen, see if you spoke to Aileen, and you've actually ordered a book, and your name's on this list, you can get it here. If not, you'll have to come and speak to me. Listen, I just want to share one or two things. Actually, just to close the walk with you, I thought this is where it all started for me, in this room, and that's the staggering thing. I used to sit up in the gallery because my father played the organ down there, and sometimes at the tea meetings we'd try and drop things into his tea. And I used to get a welcome for it. And my cries if it wasn't me went on here. And it was girls called the Old Socks, and we used to lust off after the hot air. And actually, I'm kind of worried about this, because, listen, ladies and gentlemen, underneath here is a tank where I was baptised. Maybe a Church of Scotland sprinkled a wee bit of water in it. That was a booking. It went right under, and back up again. So I cannot believe it. I'm back in the Memorial Hall, Kilbarchan. It's just, I mean, I never thought of it. I'm indebted to you, Brian, because this is real nostalgia for me. The only thing is, I thought it was bigger then, but of course I was made then. Kilbarchan, a great place to grow up, and I just have so many memories. Spoolie apples, you know, ring-bang scoosh, putting the lights of the station. Remember Albert Haynes used to crack up when we went up because it was all gas, but the lights you could hear we put at the back the other day. And these are memories, but the legends of Kilbarchan, and you'll remember them. The Milliken, Wallace's Cave, right? The legends were that the primary 7 kids said that they could walk from Kilbarchan to Elderslie. Because I was always kind of stupid at it. A legend, not true. There was another legend. There was another legend that if a girl was ever seen going over the Milliken Wall, her reputation was in tatters. No, I don't know the truth of that. I do look about and I see one or two that I saw. So you can tell me later. The youth fellowship, the concord, and the barn dances. Some of you may remember, and John, you kind of turned a blind eye to the barn dances and let it just go on there. But we always had bales of straw round the whole thing, and that was last. You were supposed to be sitting on them, but apart from that, it was really handy because we were great ones for the strip of willow. Some of the boys were a bit energetic, and lassies would be spinning off and instead of crashing into the wall, they just went into the cave. And then as well, the romantic assignations that happened out in the graveyard. Aye. Do you remember it, Gordon? I just wondered whether RIT appeared in Boston part of their anatomy. In the minibus, you'll see a picture of the minibus where Jake and Helen and, you know, I think romance had started before they went away, but certainly it was cemented out there. Wally, but Billy McCaig, forever, William Gilchrist McCaig, he was there as well. Never did much work, but he was there. I hope he's over here tonight. Anyway, terrific. You know, 3,000 miles we did. And I always remember, we're still friends with these folks, and I think for me the friendship was started away up in that tower, Gordon. Up, and Wally and Jake were involved. It was a tower, you know the sound of music, you know these kind of onion-shaped things. And I get out on top of this, and there was a wee railing like that, and it was 100 feet down a drop, you know, instant death. And so when I just went, what? And I wouldn't move. And they come up and say, Ian, shift. No move. Actually, I could still have been there had they not actually really passed me hand to hand. And now I'm even feeling a bit kind of queasy up here. So it changed my life, but friendships, and of course, meeting the new Paul's at work because he's telling me I don't have too long here, so on my 15th birthday I got a bike, brilliant bike, Dawes Galesman bike. And I used to cycle with one or two others from Kilbarchan, do through Renfrewshire's leafy lanes, cross the Erskine Ferry, in behind the Balloch bus, the slipstream, if I'd stopped, I would have been here the night, and right on, and I came to Bond Hill, so I knew Bond Hill, you know, going down past the Reverend Alan Hasson's church, and he was big. Does anybody remember Alan Hasson, the Reverend Alan Hasson? Do somebody remembers that? Eddie, you remember him. He was very fond of good bands and he embezzled £10,000 from the Orange Order. He shot over to Canada and he was arrested on the way back at Pressway, and he was defended at the High Court by Joel Clammy, a noted Catholic layman. And he got a in a technicality. It's taken away history. So he was there at the time, and I remember that. And then I went past a garage, Ian McCall's garage. Now Ian McCall played for some obscure team that plays around about the Govan area. So I knew Bond Hill. And when I left university, the staggering thing was, I was looking for somewhere near Kilbarn, I'll be perfectly honest, because Kilbarn, after all, as you folks know, is the centre of the university. And nothing was coming up. But I applied to Bond Hill, and I never got a reply back. And then one day, Peter Houston, who was the minister at Renfrew, who came from the Vale, said, there's folk to the Vale over. They must be able to hear you, so anyway, they heard me. That afternoon, I got a phone call from the interim moderator who said, would you please, could you be one of the short leave of 3? And I said, no, because this time I'd decided Kilbirnie was vacant. I'm going to Kilbirnie, ready? And he was quite busy, thank you. And he ran off. 2 minutes later, he was back on. He said, remember how I said there was 3? The other 2 have got churches, there is only you. Come and speak to them. And I thought, no, I said, I'm going to Kilbirnie. But eventually, because I knew him, and again it's the Luss connection, he was the minister at Luss, and he persuaded me to go, and I did. I went, I met him, and I stood in the church hall, and I thought, well, who's coming out here? It was decrepit, you know. And then I met with him. And there was one wonderful moment, because I'll tell you, at that time I was 30, Joan was a very tender 24, we had Derek, and she also was pregnant with Andrew. So, you know, the one thing she didn't want to be was the president of the Women's Guild, and it was expected. So I was very bullish, so I said to the people in Bond, by the way, if I come here, my wife will go with the president of the Guild. And there was a woman down the front seat, and she stood up with a wee fur coat on, 5 feet, 2 of her, and said, of course not, I'm the president of the Guild. I thought you had beauty. That was really the turning point. Those are the turning point, because the following day I come back and I said, well, no, we're not to Kilbirnie. But they were nice people. And actually these 2 went over the following day, Alison and Joan, you know, at that time, mini skirts that were indecent. Now it was an excuse for Ali, but she was pregnant. And there was a wedding happening, and the church officer came out and said, listen, come on in, girls. And, oh, no, we're not coming in. They eventually persuaded them, and they come back and said, what nice people. And you know, at the end of the day, isn't that all that matters? So, whoever you're dealing with, nice people makes a big difference. That's all I need in Bond Hill. And it's been a great journey. Because Paul's just going to hook me off in 2 minutes, so I'm just going to say something. It's been great. The weddings I've done, terrific. Kenny Miller, who played for the obscure team. Stevie Thompson, who also, and of course that's his mom, who also played for the obscure team. Mark Brown, who released the sense to transfer to Celtic. Darren O'Day, lovely man. Who else? Charlie Adams. Simon Ramsey, met a lot of football team, as Paul said, we could probably have made up a football team with the ones I've married. But there was one classic girl who phoned me up and she said once, hello, you know, I'd like to be married in Logo and Golf Court, you know, that's very posh. And I said, fine, can you give me some details? She said, my name is Jill Setterington, unusual name. So I said to her, did your father ever play for Rangers? Oh, she said, yes, did you know Daddy? I says, no, but anyway, I'm married. And then there was this silence, and she said, you're at it. So actually, as I was leaving the reception, they gave me this incredible present. It was about this size, and it was all done in gold paper. And it looked like a picture. And I thought, that's a Mona Lisa in there. And I took it off, and it was a frame. And there was a coat hook. And on the coat hook was a Ranger strip. Number one, Reverend Ian Miller. So they're all shouting, put it on, put it on. So I did, you know, and then I said, I'm no fool. And I went out singing, oh. We remain pals. Yeah, some of the weddings, you know, I've done one or two of the big fat gypsy weddings, you know. 10 bridesmaids, 10 groomsmen, 4 flower girls and 4 stage boys. Just one with gypsies. I am, however, going to leave you with one story because I'm just watching the time. You'll just have to read the book. You see, the next time you come to something like this, make sure you're in time. Good to see you. You missed the best bit. Good to see you. But anyway, there was one classic incident, and I think in some ways it defined my ministry in the Vale team. It became a kind of iconic, just a wee iconic thing. And it happened at a wedding. And the groom had said to me, who I knew very well, would you ring the bell at the end of the service, you know, which you do, bride's move, the bell's ringing, great. And I said yes. And I committed the unpardonable sin. John Connell was the session clerk at Claverne West. He'll know what I'm talking about, and that is that you don't tell the widow. If you don't tell the widow what's happening, you're big in trouble. And I didn't. And I forgot all about it. So the bride's going out, da-da-rum-bum-bum, and I'm still in the vestry. Now, I didn't think it would be right taking a move out and run by her, you know, and I was right. So I scouted out the side door, right round the front, forgetting at a village wedding, there's people out waiting to see the bride and all her pristine loveliness. Instead of that, they see Batman fully robed. So anyway, I get to the bell room and I start ringing the bell, you know, and I'm thinking, what a clown, you know. And I'm ringing the bell, and as I'm ringing the bell, suddenly I look and there's a big picture in the wall of a predecessor of mine, Reverend William Gregory, who was there for about nearly 40 years. And I look at him and he's got such a sour face. And I know he's disapproving. And I know we're talking to one another and saying, look at you, you're an absolute disgrace. The Church of Scotland's come to sorry pitch. And I'm saying, look at you, you great-faced old soul. So at that point, I hung on to the bell rope and I soared heavenward. And there was a cabinet in the bell room about here, so I put my feet on it and I stretched up. And I looked down and I said, I bet you never did this. So imagine, fully rolled academic food to hold the full boomer. And at that point, suddenly before me, the door opened. And as we say in the Vale of Leaving, there stood a wee woman. Handbag, don't pack a Mac things on, you know what I mean, it's to wear. How do you start a conversation? You say to her, oh, by the way, but she solved the problem because she looked up to me as if it was perfectly natural and said, excuse me, is there a toilet? There you are. It's all there. And I'll tell you what, that's my fraction of it. So if sometime you're stuck for your women's guild or your men's club or your coolie or your fireside meetings, give me a shout and I'll waste an hour of your life. Thank you very much indeed.